Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is BALQIS AQILAH and this is my partner SHARIFAH or AZHLIN. Today, we would like to share to you guys about 21st century learning. As you guys can see in this slide, there is a content on 21st century learning. First, introduction, definition, criteria of 21st century classroom, the difference between blended learning and flipped classroom, and ideal of 21st century learning, and last but not least is conclusion. Alright guys, now we are in the section of introduction. As what we know, there is a lot of things are changing in a modern society. The world is starting to become much more integrated and technology is constantly changing the world. So now we are living in increasingly different in aspect of globalized, complicated, media-saturated culture. And technological overthrow will have a greater change in education. Our students are facing many difficulties like increased population, climate change, health deficiency, primary poverty, and other environmental changes. Therefore, this technological revolution, social, economic, and globalization have changed intended for new changes and development in 21st century teaching and learning. 21st century teaching and learning can mean by students are connected to other learning and resources throughout the world, especially a technology, and they will prepare themselves as a problem solver. They also will build your learning around relevant issues like what happened in the world, any climate change, and also collaborate throughout effective communication. So students will also explore the way to be creative, and they also need to be quickly to adapt the world changing trend. So by preparing students for the 21st century is not about technology or skill, but it's actually focused on technology. But as a teacher, we need to be a motivator, innovator, creative, entrepreneur, and mentor to our students. So to find out more deep, I will pass the next slide to my friend.
Hi, my name is SHARIFAH. Now, I will explain to you what is 21st century learning pedagogy and how it is different from the generic pedagogy. So, as you can see in my slide, according to Kit Murray, he says that students in the 21st century learn in global classroom and is not necessarily within four walls. And Tom Vander also says that all students have an educational experience preparing them to be an effective lifelong learner, and contributor that is how we think about 21st learning pedagogy. So, refer to a specific core competencies such as collaboration, digital literacy, critical thinking, and problem solving, supported by advocates that school needs to teach to help a student thrive in today's evolving world. That was a 21st learning pedagogy. And for the emerging technology has become one of the most interesting aspects of the vision for 21st century schools, and that children will no longer be forced to learn the same thing and the same way just because teachers have no way to differentiate. With thousands of new applications and websites being launched every day, the quality and variety of tools available for teachers will continue to increase, and it is also be a challenge for a teacher. So, what do you think a difference between a generic pedagogy? So, the difference is our teaching life will also change instantly, and for some teachers, this has become a reality and very impressive, but not for some teachers who have served for a long time. Perhaps it will be one of the most challenging for them in delivering teaching and learning using technology. And students also not like before. Most of them are right now well known about the technology, and they are more interested in learning using a video. That was the difference between a generic pedagogy.
I will share to you guys about three or criteria of 21st century classroom. So the first criteria, I have provided 6 criteria. So the first criteria, it should be flexible of nature and space. If the classroom be in more messy, of course the teaching learning is not in good situation. Even it also happened to students. So we need to make sure that classroom furnitures need to be exchanged and relevant with a 21st century classroom. So next one is an area of collaborative learning and independent study. So in this criteria, we will provide a position, a coordinate of students. So we will make sure students will sit in a group, and the structure of class must be in a good position. And also, by considering this model for learning, I'm sure that by making a group work is more better than individual work. So next one is facilitation of movement. I think we don't need to explain more about this point, because this point is a little bit same with point number 1, which is flexibility, nature and space. Because if we provide, if we structure the class in a good position, also it can be more easier to teacher and student move around the class. So next one, fostering of inspiration and creative. As a teacher, we need to be more creative. We need to be more creative and inspiration, so we can make a conducive learning method and we can comfort students. If we use an all learning teaching plan, of course student will be more bored to study, right? So the next one is technology. As what we know, 21st century, if you want to achieve 21st century learning, we need to focus more in technology. So in this point, we need to make sure that students and teachers and students make the teaching and learning by using technology. And the last one is light and bright color. Light and bright color should be in class. So the designing of classroom should be more attractive, because we don't want students to feel bored. So if we design the class and we make sure the class be more colorful or have a good light and bright, I'm sure that student will not absent to the class. So now we move to the next slide, which is difference between blended learning and flipped classroom. Alright, it's me again. Now I will share about difference between blended learning and flipped classroom. As what you guys see in the slide, I have put blended learning versus flipped classroom, and I also make it a different before, during, and after class for this learning. So as what we know, blended learning seems like traditional classroom, but we put a little bit technology in that. So before the class, for blended learning, the learner come to the school based on the topic and schedule that given to them, while the flipped classroom is students are given study material to read and assimilate the learning content. So I can critique in this situation, I think flipped classroom is more better than blended learning, because for blended learning, before the class, student coming with 0 in their mind. But for flipped classroom, student coming with 1,000, with a lot of questions that they will ask to teachers. And I think this is good. I think flipped classroom is a good way to make sure student can be more active in the class. So, more student in the classroom. In the classroom, blended learning is for blended learning, the teacher will deliver the lecture to the classroom and provide the study material. While flipped classroom is the learner discuss the content with their peers and the instructor. Okay, in this station, I mean during this classroom, I have no critique to both of this learning, because I think both of this is a good, but the different thing is a technology, and the way teacher teach. Because for blended learning, teacher will give a lecture first, and then teacher will provide the study material to student, and student will make a discussion. Students still make the discussion, but only for one student and teachers. But in the flipped classroom, the student will make a group and they will discuss together with their groups member, and at the same time the teacher will help them in the certain part. I think both of these situation during classroom is good, but maybe the difference is about the technologies and also the way they communicate. And for flipped classroom is a good thing, because teacher can evaluate the student, which is they can know is that the student give a good ideas, or another is that student is be more silent. Teacher will know that. So the after classroom is the learner. For blended learning, the learner are given practice exercise or activities to enhance their learning. So maybe for blended learning, teacher will give a homework to student. But for flipped classroom is a bit different, because the learner check and confirm their understanding by doing the further learning activity. So in flipped classroom, after the discussion, they will make sure that she or he understood the discussion.
So, as you can see in my slide, this layout that we choose for 21st century learning classroom. So this layout is based on 21st learning classroom, and we put the desk with the group because we think that this is because students will learn in a group, and the teacher will monitor each group and how in terms of evaluating their idea given by each group. So this present of the relaxing section at the corner of the end of the class. It can give a student space to do their exercise given by their teacher, or maybe they can do a discussing with their members, or maybe they can relax with their team member or discuss about their training work or any specific work. So the provision of a computer space and the printer as well as spatial locker for students are also provided in this classroom. So they can put their bag in their belonging in the locker, so this can make them more comfortable and can give a more comfortable space for students. So if the locker in classroom, maybe the classroom will look more, if they don't have a classroom, maybe the classroom will look bit messy. So we also provided a site for students to put their bag under the desk. So for the part of present of computer in the classroom, it can give a group of students to store their work. So they do not have to go to computer lab, and everything is specially prepared for their group task. And at the same time, like I told you before, they do not have to go to computer lab because each class have their own special computer in the table that their classroom provided. So that was our layout for 21st century learning classroom. So basically we put 3 activities, which is first categories, and second draw swords, and third hot potato. So for this categories, so this game will encourage students to think outside of the box and draw on a range of subject knowledge. So the teacher will provide a tablet or a laptop and a list of subject specific categories as example such as earth, space, rock, landform, weather, and solar. So it depends on the categories. And in this activity, the teacher will split students into a small group, and the teacher will ask them to note down the categories on their piece of paper, like choose the letter from A to Z at a random and give the student about 2 minutes depending on how many the categories, and think about the word of each categories. As it has to be the beginning with the letter. So once the time is up, the student have to allocate point for unique answer. As example, two teams write down the same word for a category, then neither of them get any point. So next is for the draw swords, which is a game to the student. This quick fire game tests a fire motor skill and also promote a quick thinking. So as well as generating some healthy competition. So this activity include a dictionary, have to include a dictionary, a textbook, and also a list of key vocabulary. So in this activity, the teacher will create classes into small group and choose a student from each group to start. So they will nominate the student and then places a dictionary or textbook under their arm. So you then say a word or image with the student and must race to find in their book, like drawing a sword from under their arm. So the first student to find word or image is the winner. So the game continues with different image until every student have had to their turn. So in this activity, the class should be able to have enough textbook or dictionary for every student, then the whole class can complete each other. Okay, for the third activity is hot potato. So this game can be used in the mathematics classes because this is for fun classroom. This game is encourage students to think on their feet and draw on a range of subject knowledge. So the teacher can use a lot of resources around class, like a soft toy or object of item for each group to pass around, like a bear, a ball, plus a list of subject specific themes as example like number prime, composite, rational, fraction, decimal, and anything. So in this game, the teacher will divide a class into a small group and hand out an object or a soft toy to each group. So the person with the object in each group will start. So that's all about our activity. As a conclusion, I can conclude that planning an effective learning environment that includes learning objective for students can be implemented well. So this implementation can provide a various way to achieve the goal further and advance learning, so that the learning of 21st century learning can help students change over time. The foundation of this education and learning need to be modified as relevant to today. Learning and the tools used by students should be more effective and more comparable to technology and all advanced that prioritize to 21st century technology and also the need of society with a different curricula have emerged together in a complementary pedagogical approach that is more child-centered and more culturally sensitive, all with the objective and promotion effective learning and adaptation. That's all for our 21st century learning pedagogy.